helping kids. For carnival ticket information, call 352-347-0883.
All right, 21 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday. We are just a week and a few days away from the kickoff of the holidays. In some worlds, the holidays has already started, but in my world, it starts on Thanksgiving. So one of the great gifts that keeps on giving is a book. You know, and we speak to a lot of authors, I know, and a lot of times the books are, historical in nature or perhaps factual of some sort. And then quite often we have some novels. We have a really great mystery novel to tell you about. It's called Seldom Traveled. It is written by Marilyn Meredith. She's the program chair for the program Safety Writers Association Annual Conference and the editor for the PSWA newsletter and the editor for the California Residential Services Association newsletter, and she's an award-winning author. The book, again, is called Seldom Traveled. Let's find out about the book. Marilyn Meredith. Good morning, Marilyn.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Where are you calling from?
California.
My goodness. Thank you for getting up early to be with us.
I always get up early.
Oh, you're an early riser? Is that,
That's right.
Do you write in the morning? Is that when you mostly write?
Yes, that's when my brain works best.
I'm with you.
Really? So what is your routine? Are you a coffee drinker?
I like to drink chai tea latte, which I make myself.
Oh, really?
That's what I have every morning, yes.
And,
nice.
Do you have a dog?
I have a dog outside that belongs to my husband. Mostly we have cats inside.
Okay. So I always picture the life of an author. You get up out of bed, you make the coffee, you let the dog out, and then you sit down at your typewriter or your computer these days, right?
Well, sort of, except that I have a huge family, so I cook, I do all the things other people do. I have little grandkids that live with me that come and say, "What are you doing, Grandma?" And I always tell them, "I'm writing." Okay, and then they disappear.
So what is Seldom Traveled about? Give us a storyline there.
Well, I'll read you the blurb I wrote for it. The tranquility of the mountain community of Bear Creek is disrupted by a runaway fugitive, a vicious murderer, and a raging forest fire. Deputy Tempe Crabtree is threatened by all three. Now, Tempe is a Native American, or an Indian, as the Indians around here prefer being called. And I kind of borrowed her from a Native American gal that I met long ago, and I just thought she would fit perfectly as a heroine for my series.
So wait a minute, how old are the grandchildren?
Well, actually, I'm very old. But the grandchildren I mentioned are really great-grandchildren, and they're 2 and 4.
Okay.
Nice.
So do your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren say, "Grandma, you wrote about a murderer"?
No, they don't. They don't do that. I mean, I'm lucky if any of my kids. I have two girls that actually read my books out of 5 kids, and I have one granddaughter that faithfully reads my books, and I don't know, I kind of lost track of how many grandkids. I think I'm up to 19.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Have any of them inherited your talent for writing?
I do have some that are writing, not published, but they are writing. And so since I was a late bloomer, I already had grandkids when my first book was published. So
right? Wow.
some of them may be late bloomers, too.
I love where the story is set, and that seems to be a character in itself.
Yes, and it's kind of based on where I live, except I moved it up in the mountains 1,000 feet for better trees and more weather, because, we live in California, and though I am in Central California, so once in a while we'll get a snowstorm, but it's, like once every 10 years or something. But just a little bit higher in the mountains, they have, regular seasons. Now, it does get cold here. It's not like Southern California. It gets cold, and we don't have enough rain, of course. And what's interesting is that when I wrote this book, I didn't know that we were going to have all the fires that we had. So in some ways, I felt a little bit guilty because fire, forest fire is a big part of this story.
Oh, really? Why would you feel guilty?
Well, just because I wrote about it before it happened.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
So tell me, in the writing process, is it relaxing, or is it easy for you to read and relax, or to write and relax, or does relaxation not even play a part in the whole process?
I don't think about it being relaxing, but it's fun. I know these people so well because I even forget how many. I think this is about the 14th book or something like that in this series. And the only way I can find out what's going to happen to them next is to write the next book.
Isn't that amazing? I love that. That's just so amazing. It's so fascinating that people exist in your mind and then they become characters in our own minds. And in a sense, it's almost like real people. I have friends, for example, on Facebook who I've never met. So the word,
me too.
So the word friends doesn't even really, it's not the same definition as it used to be. But in a way, these are almost like characters because I just read about them. The same thing as in a novel, right?
Yes, very much the same thing. The only thing I can tell you that's really different is that I know how my characters think. I've been married to my husband for 60 years, and I have no clue how he thinks.
How have you handled, since Deputy Tempe Crabtree is the heroine of your entire series, does she age?
She has aged, yes. In fact, when the series started, not as fast as I have, I can tell you, but she started with a teenage son, and he's now married. So, time has moved on, just a lot slower than most people.
Let me ask you, this is almost a personal question, but do you refrain from putting things into the book that might be considered adult because your children are reading your books?
I'm careful. I do shut the bedroom door. Now, I do murder people, So.
Yes, murder's okay. Sex is not okay.
No, my characters have sex. It's just that I think everybody knows what that's all about, so I don't feel like I have to go into detail. They love each other, so they have normal lives. But it's I don't describe the murders too explicitly, and my characters may swear. I just don't quote them.
So is the runaway fugitive and a vicious murderer, are they two people and then they're both and then the fugitive is the lesser of two evils?
Well, I don't want to say too much because it kind of gives away the plot.
Oh, okay.
But we did have a fugitive in our area, which gave me the idea, and nobody ever found him.
Wow.
I mean, if they did, it never came out in the paper. So I don't know whether the guy was found or not. We have a river that runs right through this area, and I think he probably just crossed the river because the dogs couldn't find him or anything. And the river was low, so he could have, hiked upstream a long ways and then come out, and that's probably how he got away. But in my book, he's still there.
Wow.
Oh my
That
goodness.
is so scary.
You might be giving the police some hints on how to go find this guy.
I think so.
Marilyn, thank you for being on the air. You are delightful. I wish we had more time with you. I had no idea this was your 18th book, so or at least with this series. I'm guessing there's even more than that. Seldom Traveled is the title of this one. In 40 seconds, we need to find out how to buy it. Do you have a website?
Yes, I do have a website, but you can get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any of the online sites.
Okay. Marilyn Meredith, thank you so much for being on the air with us.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you very much.
That was fun. We will be right back. This is WOCA.